Those wishing to speak must state their name and address for the record after they are acknowledged by the board chair. Each person will be limited to 2 minutes to make his or her remarks. Speakers will address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. The board may not take action on an item presented during the public comment period unless the item is already on the agenda for action. When appropriate, the board may refer inquiries and items brought up during the public comment period to the county administrator for follow-up. And as a reminder, if you're here for public comment, we'll ask that you step up to the podium so that you can be heard. And with that, is there public comment?
Melissa Berman, 2525 Stony Creek Drive. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had the opportunity to learn more about how this process works and who's in charge of what. And we as residents feel that we have received some misinformation that we feel had come from the county, but we've since learned that you guys are more of just the face of the county and not necessarily the one presenting the information. You guys are just repeating what you have heard. That being said, the document that came back from the federal government, that 61-page document, we had the opportunity to read that. And what we learned from that is that WSB prepared this document and the federal government signed off on it. The federal government didn't actually study the alternatives. WSB did. That being said, the first thing that we noticed is routes that benefited choosing 29th Avenue had discrepancies in the distance and time that they took. That being the case, Alternative 4 was highlighted highlighted red when the same times existed on Alternative 3, and one of the times is even faster than the no-build option. This is skewing the data so that only Alternative 3 would be chosen. Throughout the entire packet, or the entire memorandum here, Alternatives 1 through 4 are noted as being very similar with having same benefits and costs. As far as the travel distances and times went, the North Country subdivision is really the only neighborhood that is benefited by this road, and it comes at a cost of our safety. We're not okay with that. Additionally, WSB presented 29th Avenue as being accepted as a map right-of-way with our existing neighborhoods showing there, which is not the case. The report itself also says that very little benefit will be gained from this. It'll be a matter of 800 vehicles per day for one section of road, not the 4 sections that they were looking at. Again, that being said, we're not okay with the cost impact to our neighborhood for the benefit that's happening here. Yes, we understand we need to relieve some congestion, but it's not doing what they promised it was going to do per their own document. And on the very last page of the memorandum, you will see that if you remove the rural development and the noise wall, Alternative 4 would be somewhere between $5 and $10 million cheaper. Why didn't we consider Alternative 4 in this report as well? Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Is there other public comment?
Good evening, Matt Cath, 1796 Southeast 44th Avenue, Steele County resident. Was wondering when and why did our county commissioner that we voted in is no longer in our district. It's Jim Brady now, and was wondering why wasn't the residents of Steele County notified in person about the intersection out in Havana being affected by mail or by our county commissioner to tell us what was going to be happening prior to what the town hall meeting happened, and we got a 2-day notice by mail. And then I don't know what the county commissioners can do to make that intersection safer without people losing their houses and property. And we'd like to see some other options, that the options that were presented to us that night at the town hall, that people are losing land and houses. At least try to bring the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit back through Havana, and if they can bring the stop signs in at the Claremont Road or 180 to to make it kind of a four-way stop sign. And one other thing, we'd like to, if they decide to go through with the plan, who is the people that are gonna decide that? Is it the residents or is it the county board? And I guess one other thing, why wasn't the railroad notified about the meeting at the town hall? That's all I have.
Thank you, Matt. Any other public comment? One more time, any public comment? All right. All right, number 17, adopt a resolution authorizing the acquisition by expedited eminent domain proceedings. That is on page 108 of the board packet.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is for our county State Aid Highway 28 project and the Beaver Lake project. We're requesting to adopt a resolution here to begin eminent domain proceedings. We are currently finalizing the plans for the project, which will relocate the road. This will require additional land acquisition for the road and the park. We are in the middle of getting appraisals, identifying the final acquisition needs here, and getting the appraisals and preparing offers. We will start negotiations here soon in the coming weeks, but because of the limited time that we have here to maintain the construction schedule, we'd like to get the eminent domain process started here in case we do need to use the eminent domain. Our intent is to continue to negotiate with property owners and hopefully negotiate a direct purchase with them so we don't have to use this, but having the eminent domain process started, that will give us a date of taking that will ensure that we have construction on schedule for next spring here. So
Has contact been made with them property owners?
not yet, but we'll be starting that process here in the next couple of weeks.
Who do we, county?
The county through our consultant.
I guess that, I understand the urgency, but I don't like the process. I just don't like this eminent domain. It feels like big government coming in and saying, we're gonna take your land. That absolutely has to be the last option. I also understand why sometimes it has to happen, and that's kind of the position we're put in sometimes as commissioners and electeds, but I kind of wish the discussion would have been had before we are asked to go this road. I think that's kind of what you were asking. So it is that time sensitive that we need to act on this tonight?
Well, if we want to build this next year and we have some various grants that are required, if we want to use these grants, they're needed to be used next year in 25. So the construction is kind of dictated by those grants, and to be able to start construction, we need to have the land acquired no later than March 31st to get construction scheduled first thing in the spring. It's going to be an all summer long project, and yeah, we're at the end of our timeline here to be able to use those grants.
The grant, can you explain the grants, Paul?
We got some grants. See, what do we got here? We got a DNR grant for the boat launch. That one is definitely committed to the 25-year time frame. Could be renegotiated to do it, but that's going to be some effort to do that. And then we also have a state park road account grant to fund the road portion of the project. And that's, I don't remember offhand when that one is, but yeah, usually those have a timeline as well. So, and then we just got the grant for the multi-use trail along the project. I don't know offhand what the timeline for that is, but I know the DNR boat launch grant is definitely needs to be used in 25 according to the current agreement.
And in parentheses with the quick take is something that I read this and I thought, well, I'd rather negotiate than, have this as a lever.
No, we're always, our acquisition process, the people that are negotiating with landowners, they are specifically told that eminent domain cannot be used as a threat or a negotiation tactic or anything. It's, but I don't know how else you say it, that no matter what happens, we always have the ability to use eminent domain to take the land for a public purpose. So, yeah, we always are hoping that, I'd say 95% of all landowners that I've ever worked with in my career has negotiated with the entities that I've worked for and have settled on the county's offers. And so we've not had to use that with every project, but every project seems to have at least one that has to unfortunately go to the eminent domain.
I think the landowners all know that, and I don't think we need to do that to tell them that this can happen. I think they already know that, that it can be acquired through eminent domain. I would prefer that that as it states in here, the consultant prepare appraisals, make offers, and begin negotiations as soon as possible. And if we can put this on the back burner for even a month, and hopefully in that month's time you can make some inroads or at least have the discussions. And I think that's in my opinion, the right way to negotiate this. I get that we can use it, I just don't like it, and it should be a last resort.
Mr. Chairman, like Commissioner Glenn said, that he don't like this being used as a lever. If you don't even do that, we're not using it as a lever, but the property owner's using it as a lever against us, because we know there's a 10% cost, just of construction work goes up 10% a year. It's been just wild. You know, so we got that to look at, and the loss of the grants. The plan's already been out there. We had meetings with the people looking at it. You know, we had 3 meetings, 2 for sure.
So I believe we've had 3 public meetings already on the project. We'll have another public meeting here in another month or 2.
Yeah, you were at the meeting down there. I didn't make that one, but I heard it was quite heated and.
Well, rightly so. I mean, if that's my land and somebody wants my land, I'm gonna be upset too. But there is both sides to it. There's a reason why, right? And this does happen. I just don't like it feels like the strong arm, and I don't know if that's the right negotiating technique or not. But to that, the landowners also know that this is a possibility. I would like to see us table it for a month, have the negotiations, and see where we land. If you sit down across the table from them and it's, heck no, it's not gonna happen, well then maybe we have to take a different approach. But I think the right way to approach it is sit across the table from them and see if you can figure out a plan. So that's where I'm at. I understand, Commissioner Brady, I understand what you're saying, but it just.
Mr. Chair, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, no, if you could sit down at the table and get some kind of a common ground with the property owner, that's great. But if they say, see ya, you know, then what do we do? Then we're right back where we're at.
Well, then we have to, then you're forced into this situation.
So,
I think that landowners already know that this is an option.
Don't negotiate, yeah. You can negotiate something first, that'd be great.
Mr. Chair, if I can just make a comment, I think part of the reasoning for this coming forward is the process for eminent domain takes a fair amount of time. And that's, I think, this is kind of a preemptive thing that if those across the table negotiations don't work, this process is already being activated.
Mr. Chair, it seems to me, I agree with you, Greg, but it seems to me that before we approve this, we should have discussion with the landowner, and there has been no discussion with the landowner. So, I mean, that's kind of how I feel.
Can I make a statement, Mr. Chair? I guess, after listening to this, I would sure be that mediator. I think we go and talk to these people, then if that's the case, if like Mr. Chair has mentioned, Mr. Abby, think we go talk with them, and that's the last resort, and if we have to use that. I mean, what are we talking, 3 different people? Is there 3 or 4 different people?
There's at least 13 parcels we're looking at right
13
now.
different parts, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Well, I think, is there any reason we can't just, like, that Mr. Chair has mentioned, we go talk with them, and, I mean, we can always do that then. I mean, in the next month, can you make some time to go see these individuals?
Well, we are hopefully by the end of the month have the appraisals completed, and then our consultant will be then trying to reach the owners
I'll be glad to
here.
look at that with
It'll
you.
probably be end of November, end of December before we have any idea where the landowners are at. But then, and if we then bring this back to the board here in January, we're probably not looking at construction in 25 then. It's just not gonna happen for 25, so that's the risk.
So we can bring it back in December.
And even, unless we get this process started now, I would say construction is in jeopardy if we have to use eminent domain. We'll just have to table construction until 26, and hopefully we can work with the DNR and the other grant agencies to extend the timeline of the grants.
Are you sensing some real opposition, Paul?
I certainly see with any project, there's, we're certainly impacting landowners and taking property from them, and that's not an easy process. So, that's an impact on landowners, some more than others. Most of these parcels are pretty minor takings, less than 1/10 of an acre, just what we call strip takings, 5 to 10 feet of additional land along the side of the road. But there's at least one landowner that's got, it's about 2 or 3 acres of land that we're taking, so.
That's the one you're sensing is getting opposition, okay?
There, if not in opposition, at least it's a difficult acquisition process because it's involving a land that's in what I understand to be in an estate with several family members involved, and those often tend to be pretty difficult to negotiate with, just dealing with the various family members that are involved, and that's often difficult in the experience of it.
Any input, Rob?
What do you think, Harris? What do you think?
I mean, right, from the legal perspective, court takes time. And I get where you're coming from the negotiating. It just seems like the right thing to do to talk to people first before we start the legal action. And I always recommend that across the board, no matter what issue it is. People won't learn about it via motion and so forth. And it sounds like it's not our baby, it's the contractors essentially doing the work for us, correct? Consultants, yeah. But from the legal perspective, court takes time, and eventually the board wishes to move forward with this project, it will need to make this type of motion at some point.
Possible.
So the timeline again, if we say we table this for 30 days, it gives you some time, or consultant, whoever's doing the negotiating, sit down with those individuals. 30 days is going to delay this thing, but it's not going to happen in 25?
Well, to go through the full negotiation process is outlined by federal and state processes. We have to give the property owners 60 days to consider our offer. So it could take 2 months just for them to consider the offer.
We got time, is what you're saying?
I'm sorry.
Do we have time?
If we get the offers to them by early November, we're talking, early January before we can move forward with bringing this back to the board.
That's just an opposition, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you could delay it even not knowing the opposition, right? I mean, you could try to reach out first and then come right back in a couple of meetings. So that delay the project? To at least get an initial offer out.
Any delay unfortunately is, ideally we'd have this, have the land acquired no later than March 31st, so we can get the contracts and start construction first thing in the spring, as soon as the thaw is out. Any more delay here is, it's putting that schedule in jeopardy here, so.
I feel like it's putting everybody in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Did you think in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks you could talk to most of these people?
I don't know the figures yet.
I know, well, yeah, we're still working on the appraisals. The appraisals have to get through, being completed. Our appraiser is hopefully gonna have them done here in the next week or so, but then the county staff's gonna have to review those. And hopefully that makes sense to us, and we can move forward. Otherwise, I know our appraiser's got vacation plans and has other projects he's working on, so if there's concerns that we have with those appraisals, we might have to go back and redo those. So, the earliest we can even attempt to get to the properties would be mid-November, but we're probably, and then you start getting into Thanksgiving and everything else, so I'd be surprised if we give anything before Thanksgiving. So.
Talk about a tight deadline. We just got our board packet on Thursday, and we need to vote on this today.
Mr. Chair, if I can make a suggestion, can you table this until the meeting on the 12th? And in the meantime, have Paul try and expedite everything along, and at least get, by then, hopefully we can get a feel for the property owners'
I agree.
understanding of what's going on.
We'll know what the feelings are.
And hopefully by then, all, in a wonderful world, everything will be fine. But at least it gives us a couple weeks to think about this. And the thing of it is because we enact this doesn't mean it's going to happen. But it helps the process along. If we get down that road that far that we need it, then it's in place.
I understand that, to the point Rob made. If I'm a landowner and I read about this in the paper or hear about it from somebody else that the board enacted,
Eminent domain.
basically said eminent domain, the first thing I'm thinking is that's what they're gonna do. That should be the last resort, and we should be having those conversations on the front end. So I'm with you. If we can table this to the next meeting,
Yeah.
you wanna make a motion?
And really expedite the process. And I think that helps everybody out a little bit, and I will make that motion.
I'll second that.
Table this until the November 12th meeting.
I have a motion by Commissioner Krieger, a second by Commissioner Nemi to table this to the November 12th meeting. Is that correct? Any further discussion, comments? Those in favor, signify by saying
I can't make any promises for the 12th or.
Oh, we understand.
We're receive our consultant. And
Push some buttons.
I'll see what you do.
Pull some strings.
Any other comments or discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Paul. All right, informational items, minutes from the October 10th Public Works Committee meeting are in your board packet. That brings us to commission reports. And let's start with Rob.
I have nothing to report.
Okay?
I had attended the JD6 meeting and,
Thank you.
Okay, I had Public Works on the 10th. I also attended the open house on the Havana project on that evening. I had a Southeast Minnesota Emergency Management meeting in Rochester on the 14th. I had Mid Prairie Joint Powers Board on the 15th. And had District 9 meeting on Monday the 21st, which was very well attended and was a really, really good meeting. So, and that work session before today.
Thank you. Renee, anything?
Continuing to meet with Owatonna over cannabis. And then obviously we had the district meeting on Monday, and it sounds like Steele County is maybe a little ahead of the curve considering what some of the other counties have going on that subject. So I do feel that we're making good progress.
Thank you.
On the 9th, I had the judicial 6th meeting hearing. Also, we had drug court on the 9th. On the 10th, we had the emergency medical meeting. We also had workforce, and we had a Havana Township meeting that night. On the 14th, we had a SEMCAC meeting. On the 21st, by the way, that SEMCAC meeting was in Chatfield. We didn't get done until midnight. Yeah. Okay, the district AMC meeting that on the 21st, that was pretty good. That night, I had a historical society meeting.
Thank you. Great.
On the 10th, I had Public Works in the morning, and that afternoon, I was at Havana Town Hall. They gave the 4 preliminary concepts of road changes possibly out there. On the 16th, I had union negotiations for 911. And yesterday, I was at the District 9, the Historical Center, represent Steele County, along with some other commissioners. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. On the 9th, I attended the JD6 meeting, the joint meeting with Rice and Steele. On the 10th, the Mid Prairie Personnel Committee meeting. On the 15th, the Mid Prairie Joint Powers Board meeting. On the 21st, the AMC District 9 meeting, and then our work session today. That brings us to the next meeting notices. Internal Central Services, Wednesday, November 6th, 2024 at 8 a.m. in the boardroom. Property and Maintenance Committee, Thursday, November 7th, 2024 at 8 a.m. in the boardroom. County Board Work Session, Tuesday, November 12th at 4 p.m. in the boardroom. County Board Meeting, Tuesday, November 12th at 5 p.m. in the boardroom. Public Safety and Health Committee, Wednesday, November 13th at 8 a.m. in the boardroom. Our joint board and SCFF board meeting is on Wednesday, November 13th at 11:30 a.m. at the Community Center. Public Works Committee meeting is on Friday, November 15th, 8 a.m. in the Public Works building. A lot of meetings coming up. All right, with that,
Well, we got Havana Town Hall, this coming 26th from 11 to 2. All commissioners invited. I'm sure if you go out there, you'll, residents will love to talk to you. Your town hall, you got your,
the new
open house, for your new town hall out there.
New town hall.
26th is from 11 to 2.
anything else?
Make that motion.
The motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Second. No discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, meeting is adjourned.